Good morning, all. Yes, can class representative tell me how many we are expecting? Class representative is there. Hello. Okay. Please, all of you mute yourself and start the class. Good morning, all. Today we'll learn about what are the drugs which affects the calcium balance and vitamin D in our body. So, as dental students, we all should be knowing that it's very important topic for you, as calcium balance and vitamin D plays a very important role in growth and development of the teeth and maintenance of the oral health. We need adequate calcium to be present there. So, what is the physiological importance of calcium? Only that it is involved with the bones and the teeth, or it has some other work in the body. Yes, calcium has lot of other works to do within the body other than the teeth, jaws, and also the bones. So, what are the other functions where it is needed? So, calcium salts in the bone can provide structural integrity. It's the most abundant mineral in the body. Almost 1 kg of calcium is present. So, calcium ions in the extracellular and the cellular fluid have some normal essential functions in the body. That is the biochemical processes. What are these biochemical processes? That is neuromuscular excitability and signal transduction, blood coagulation, hormonal secretion, enzymatic regulation, and neuronal excitation. So these are all the regular functions. What are these? Neuromuscular excitability, blood coagulation, hormonal secretion, enzymatic regulation, and neuronal excitation. So about 1000 milligram of calcium is ingested per day. That is approximately 1 gram. About 200 milligram of this is absorbed into the body, and the main site is the small intestine, the upper duodenum, and the jejunum. Milk and dairy products will give us the calcium or the main calcium sources we have. So what is the normal requirement daily? So the normal adult requirement is about 100 milligram, that is 0.5 grams. So in children it is more like 1200 milligram, and in pregnancy it is still more, that is 1.5 grams per day. So where it is observed, it is the first and the second part of the duodenum where the calcium get absorbed. So 30 to 80% of the ingested calcium is absorbed. That means we have more requirement, so absorption will be more. So calcium transport within the body takes place by calcium dependent ATP system. Yes, anyone has some doubts, they can ask in the end. Please mute yourself. Okay, so now we'll come to the factors which affect the calcium absorption. Okay, so the acidic pH will help the calcium absorption. That means the gastric acidity should be more there, then the calcium absorption will be more. Presence of sugar acids, organic acids, citric acids, that will also help. High protein diet like lysine and arginine containing diet. So calcium phosphate ratio, if it is not more than the 2:1, then also it is helpful. If it is reverse, that is ulta, like calcium to phosphate ratio is 1:2, then it decreases the absorption. The main regulation is by the vitamin D and the parathyroid hormone. So what is its role? They increase the serum calcium level. How they do? They have the different mechanisms which we will be learning. So what are the factors which inhibit the calcium absorption? That is the alkaline pH, fat diet, phytates and oxalates. Remember, these phytates and oxalates are more seen with the vegetative diet. Coming to the glucocorticoids, you should be knowing steroids and long-term administration causes osteoporosis. So glucocorticoid on long-term administration causes osteoporosis. So calcitonin reduces the calcium absorption indirectly by inhibiting the activation of the vitamin D. So there are some agents such as vitamin D and parathyroid hormone working in one side where they increase the calcium absorption, and on the other side calcitonin is there which decreases the calcium absorption. So the main role of calcitonin is to decrease the plasma calcium levels, whereas parathyroid hormone and vitamin D they tend to increase the serum calcium level. So advancing age and inflammatory diseases, they will also decrease the calcium absorption. So from the intestine, we told that we get around 500 to 1000 milligram, from which about 80% can be absorbed. So here absorption we are showing to be 350 milligram, and sufficient back is 150 milligram. So we have an extracellular compartment of small reserve and a rapidly exchangeable pool of 4 grams. So that is the 4 times the regular absorption pool. So from where we get this, it is from the bones and bones remodeling. So from there, this bone remodeling and all, there is resorption. The excess of calcium is thrown out from the kidneys. So where do we store our calcium? We store our calcium in the bones, about 1000 grams or approximately 1 kg. Okay, so though we tell that the person's body weight is around 40 to 60 kg as the ideal weight, the average calcium stored will be only 1 to 1.5 kg. That's all, not more than that. So rest other is due to the matrix which is from the cartilage which is there. All that accounts for this bone weight. So some calcium is stored within the cells, that is in the plasma reticulum and the mitochondrial cells. The bone is produced by the osteoblast and reserved by the osteoclast. So that will be there will be delicate balance between these osteoblast and osteoclast, which is helping us in the maintenance of the bone health. So bone remineralization is by with the help of osteoclast. So it secretes acid, causing release of the calcium and the phosphate into the bloodstream. So where it is excreted from the kidneys. Okay, so this is how it is excreted from the bone. Okay, from the bone we get the calcium. So what increases the calcium level? Calcium level is increased by this parathyroid hormone and vitamin D. How it increases the serum calcium level? It causes once the osteoclastic activity is there, there is the release of calcium from the bone. This released calcium from the bone by the osteoclastic activity is taken up by the parathyroid hormone and vitamin D, parathyroid hormone and vitamin D, and increases the extracellular fluid calcium level. What calcitonin does? Calcitonin will decrease the calcitonin plasma calcium levels. How it decreases? One is it removes the calcium from the extracellular fluid and helps in deposition in the bone. And another mechanism is calcitonin. It helps in excretion of the calcium from the kidneys. Okay, one is excretion of the calcium from the kidneys, another is bone formation. By both the mechanisms, the extracellular calcium is removed by the calcitonin. What does the parathyroid hormone do? It has to increase the extracellular or plasma calcium level. How it increases? One is by bone resorption here, another is by reabsorption from the kidneys. That means whatever the calcium which is sent for excretion, that is reabsorbed back by this parathyroid hormone. Okay, that's how they increase the calcium levels within the body. So parathyroid hormone action, the overall action of the parathyroid hormone to increase the plasma calcium levels and decrease the plasma phosphate levels. So parathyroid hormone act directly on the bone and stimulates the calcium resorption. That is the osteoclastic activity is stimulated, and the kidneys it increases the calcium reabsorption in the distal units of the kidneys to inhibit the reabsorption of the phosphate. Okay, so increasing the calcium absorption and increasing the phosphate excretion. So parathyroid hormone is acts indirectly in the intestine and stimulating the vitamin D synthesis. So vitamin D synthesis again will help in increasing the calcium reabsorption. Okay. So how the regulation of calcium takes place? Suppose there is a hypocalcemia. Okay, suppose there is hypocalcemia. What will happen? Low calcium levels. So calcium level is low means parathyroid hormone is stimulated. Parathyroid hormone is stimulated means vitamin D is also stimulated. Now remember that when hypocalcemia is there, there are two hormones which are stimulated: parathyroid hormone and the vitamin D. Vitamin D both acts as a hormone which increases the now they should increase the serum calcium levels. How? What are the sources of calcium for this parathyroid hormone? One is reabsorption from the this bone. Okay, so increasing the osteoclastic activity. Okay, once osteoclastic activity is increased, the bone resorption takes place. This bone resorpted contains both calcium and phosphate, which are directly pulled into the peripheral circulation. Another one is increasing the intestinal calcium absorption. Okay, intestinal calcium absorption is by direct action, and the kidney reabsorption action is by activation of the vitamin D. Okay, so from the kidneys, it reabsorbs the calcium it is meant for excretion, and again draws it into the main pool, that is the plasma. So this is how the calcium reabsorption takes place under the influence of both parathyroid hormone and the vitamin D. So UV rays, how this vitamin D is synthesized and how it works. Okay, so vitamin D is synthesized in the body under the influence of the sun, where in the skin we have the primordial molecule or the basic raw material for vitamin D synthesis. What is that raw material? That is 7-dehydrocholesterol. So 7-dehydrocholesterol is present in the skin on which the sun rays, that is the UVB rays, will act. Under the influence of UVB rays, it is converted to cholecalciferol. Okay, so now cholecalciferol is or vitamin D3 is a precursor molecule. Now we have to add two hydroxylation process. One hydroxylation process takes place in the liver and another hydroxylation takes place in the kidney. Now it is 125 dihydroxy D3, and this is the most active form of the vitamin D, which will be acting and showing its effect. What is its effect? Increase in the intestinal calcium absorption and increase in the reabsorption of the calcium from the distal tubules. So calcitriol regulates the calcium, muscle, bone, and blood pressure. So this vitamin D3, as we know, has multiple functions within the body. So we'll be learning that with a colorful, very good slide in next coming. Okay, so calcitriol or this vitamin D3 regulates calcium in the muscle, bone health, and also blood pressure. So what is the effect on blood pressure? We'll learn now. So calcitriol have very short half-life and may not be the direct indicator of vitamin D status. So how regulation of this vitamin D metabolism takes place? So parathyroid hormone increases the 1-hydroxylase activity, that is in the liver, and increasing the production of the active form. This increases the calcium absorption from the intestine, increasing the calcium release from the bone, and decreasing the loss of calcium from the kidneys. So once parathyroid hormone has increased this hydroxylate activity, what happens is calcium absorption from the intestine, release from the bone, and reabsorption from the kidney. All the three processes are increased. So as a result, parathyroid hormones as a result, parathyroid hormone secretion decreases. So decreasing the 1-hydroxylase activity will be negative, giving us negative feedback. So low phosphatase concentration also increases the 1-hydroxylase activity. So vitamin D increases the phosphate reabsorption from the urine. So what are the vitamin D preparations? Okay, so vitamin D preparations are commercially needed, even though it is produced in the skin. Yes, we need to administer vitamin D, even though we are having this raw material within the body and it is synthesized within the body, but still we need to add vitamin D supplementation. Why we need vitamin D supplementation? Because in some countries there will not be sun exposure at all. In some people who are malnourished, the skin may not contain adequate amounts of the raw materials which needed for this. And in some population, they wear complete clothes, and some insects they wear complete black clothes and all, where it is difficult for the sun ultraviolet B rays to penetrate, and they can cause the decrease in the vitamin D production. So that's why we need vitamin D preparation, which should be given artificially. So cholecalciferol is significantly more effective byproduct. Ergocalciferol, it's a plant-derived vitamin D source. Okay, so increase the serum 5-hydroxy cholecalciferol, and it is less preferred. Okay, so the longer half-life of D3. So there is longer half-life of D3, so there is less dosing, less frequent dosing. That means once a daily dosage is enough. So we have other vitamin D preparations such as alpha calcidol and dihydrotachysterol. So these are synthetic ones, okay, and are rapidly hydroxylated in the calcitriol. So here there are evidence that which calciferol is better, whether cholecalciferol is better or ergocalciferol is better. That means plant-derived vitamin D or the synthesized ones like in our body. So cholecalciferol holds good position. So how much of this vitamin D we have to give? So normally in children we can give up to 400 international units per day. In case of this children below 12 years, we can give up to 5,000 units per day. In women and childbearing, okay, there is different requirements, approximately 2,000 international units per day. In adults, the maintenance dose is about 2,000 international units, or in some cases, in case of osteoporotic diseases, or in case they suspect vitamin D deficiency, they give the 60,000 units international units once in a month. Sorry, once in a week, 4 weeks per month. So adults, here VDD stands for vitamin D deficiency disease. Okay, so 60,000 international unit per week for 8 weeks can also be given. So here on the left side of the diagram, you can see that what are the causes of vitamin D deficiency. On the right side, we can see the consequences of this vitamin D deficiency. The list is very large, but I have given some of the important points here. So how we are losing the vitamin D effect. So usage of sunscreen frequently. Okay, so there is some melanin disease, high altitude like cold countries where the sun rays are less, and in winter season we are having less sunshine. All these conditions can lead to decrease in the UVB rays affecting your skin. So medication and supplements which are causing problems. So anti-seizure medications, glucocorticoids, rifampicin, highly active antiretroviral therapy, St. John Warts, all these are the agents which are actually against the or agents which decrease the vitamin D absorption, or which they can cause this vitamin D deficiency. Okay. So I can't allow students after 10:20. Okay, it's too late. So medication supplementation such as anti-seizure, glucocorticoid, rifampicin, highly active antiretroviral therapy, St. John Warts, all these agents are the supplements. So what it will lead to? Then so it can lead to other causes such as this Crohn's disease, Bell's disease, cystic fibrosis, celiac disease, liver disease. All these malabsorption conditions can also decrease the vitamin D absorption, and the raw materials needed for this vitamin D production is also decreased. Thereby, it causes vitamin D deficiency. In case of hepatic failure, for example, chronic alcoholic patients, renal failure, chronic diabetes patients, nephrotic syndrome, obesity, all these are the factors which hinders the vitamin D absorption, and thereby they cause vitamin D deficiency. So what are the consequences of vitamin D deficiency? Schizophrenia, depression, upper respiratory tract infections, asthma, wheezing disease, congestive heart failure, autoimmune diseases, type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, muscle weakness, muscle ache, all these are the consequences of vitamin D deficiency. From the head to toe, if you are able to remember and reproduce in your exams, that will give HU good marks. Okay, starting from schizophrenia to rickets at the bottom. Osteomalacia, rickets, osteoporosis, all these things can take place in vitamin D deficiency. So the major effect of various hormones on the bone here is one which stimulates the bone formation, one which stimulates the bone resorption. Okay. So which stimulates the bone formation? Growth hormone, insulin, estrogen, androgen, vitamin D, skeletal growth factor. All these agents will increase the bone formation. Agents decrease the bone formation are the parathyroid hormone, vitamin D, cortisol, thyroid hormone, prostaglandins, interleukin 1 and 3, tumor necrosis factors alpha and beta. All these are the agents which causes bone resorption. The bone formation is inhibited by steroids, whereas the bone resorption is inhibited by various agents such as estrogen, androgen, calcitonin, alpha interferon, nitric oxide, all these things. So coming to the calcitonin. So calcitonin acts to decrease the plasma calcium levels. I told that calcitonin is an agent which decreases the plasma calcium levels, whereas vitamin D3 and the parathyroid increase the plasma calcium levels. How calcitonin decreases the plasma calcium? Either it increases the bone formation or it causes excretion of excess of calcium. Simple as it. So calcitonin acts to decrease the plasma calcium levels, where parathyroid and vitamin D acts to increase the plasma calcium level. Only calcitonin causes decrease in the plasma calcium. So calcitonin is synthesized and secreted by parafollicular cells of the thyroid gland. They are distinct from thyroid follicular cells by their large size, pale cytoplasm, and small secretory granules. So calcitonin acts to decrease the plasma calcium levels, while parathyroid hormone acts to increase the plasma calcium levels. So this calcitonin can be given by salmon calcitonin, that is the extract from this fish, can be given by this subcutaneous or intravascular route. So this is in brief, showing all the processes. This is just like summation of what we thought till now. Okay. So what can it can cause deficiency? If deficiency is there, we have carpopedal spasm, that is on the carpal bones and the pedal bones. So it is the classical obstetric hand sign, laryngeal striatal convulsions, visceral features like intestinal spasm, all these things can happen. So if there is decrease in the calcium or increase in the calcium, there is effect. Okay, once if it is increased, there is nervous system depression, reflexes are sluggish, prolonged QT interval, all these things can happen. So what agents can cause this hypercalcemia? Okay, so cancer within the with bone metastasis like carcinoma, leukemia, lymphoma, multiple myeloma, all these can cause this hypercalcemia, immobilization, parathyroid carcinoma, vitamin A toxicity, D toxicity, all these are the things which can cause hypercalcemia. So once there is hypercalcemia, the patient can present with renal stones, bone pains, and psychological. That means this schizophrenia can occur. So my cases may go asymptomatic, whereas the hypercalcemia involves lethargy, dramatic symptoms will be there. So how do we treat this hypercalcemia? Oral phosphate can be tried with the mild symptoms. So IV saline and diuretic, where they can decrease the calcium levels. Bisphosphonates or the other calcium lowering drugs, they can also be tried. So what are the calcium preparations in case of hypocalcemia we can give? We have this regular calcium carbonate. Now people are claiming that they can use eggshell calcium also. So eggshell calcium is among the favorites, and seashell calcium is among the favorites. Okay, they have the various combinations: calcium carbonate, citrate, glycopyrophosphate, glycerophosphate, lactate, calcium gluconate, all these are there. So where we can use calcium for therapeutic use. To correct the calcium deficiency, postmenopausal osteoporosis, decaying osteomalacia, after removal of this parathyroidadenoma, chronic kidney disease, hypermagnesemia, hyperkalemia, cardiac arrest, and it can be used as a placebo. Placebo means there is a simple drug to mask the effect. So non-hormonal agents which can affect the calcium balance, like In case of this postmenopausal women, we use some drugs which help in this bone pains, joint pains and all. These are the alendronate, pomidronate, all these things. So what they do, they inhibit the osteoclast mediated bone resorption. So bone resorption is mediated, inhibited means bone formation will increase. Uninhibited activity, the osteoblastic activity takes place. So bone remodeling is not there, but the resorption is also not there. So resorption is not there means no osteoporosis and less of bone pains. So other group of drugs we have is selective estrogen receptor modifiers, that is the non-steroidal agents. Okay, so we have this raloxifene, which is used in the postmenopausal osteoporosis. So calcium mimetics, cinacalcet, so calcium sensing receptor on the parathyroid gland, it senses and reduces the parathyroid secretion. So strontium granulate, it's a ranolic acid salt of strontium. So blocks the differentiation of this osteoclast and promotes their apoptosis. So sivalimbar, it is a hydroxy chloride. So phosphate binding gel plus calcium decreases the serum phosphate levels. So hyperphosphatemia due to hypoparathyroidism can also be causing problems. So what we need to remember is the calcium phosphate is the calcium form which is present in the body. So calcium absorption is better if the ratio is 1:2. That means calcium is 1 and phosphate is 2. But if calcium levels are more and phosphate ratio is ulta, that is 2:1, then the absorption decreases. So here we have two types of hormones. That is, one is this parathyroid hormone, which increases the calcium level but decreases the phosphate level. It makes the phosphate get excreted from the body. Whereas vitamin D helps in absorption of both calcium and phosphate. So thiazide diuretics will help in retaining of this calcium, Where we have to use this diuretics? Old osteoporotic women with hypertension, instead of using other drugs, we have to go for this thiazide diuretics. Why? Thiazide have inherent property of calcium reabsorption. Okay, so parathyroid hormone mediated calcium reabsorption in the kidneys is enhanced by thiazide diuretics. That's why thiazides are post-menopausal friendly diuretics, which can help in the which can help in diuresis, decreasing the blood pressure, and also making the bones strong. So fluorides are used as a prophylaxis for dental caries. So they can cause dose-dependent toxicity. So actually, they can decrease the caries, but when they are in excess, they can cause the fluorosis and cause this fluoroapatite, which gets deposited in place of hydroxyapatite, and it causes a loss of strength. So this is how the calcium metabolism is taking place. Okay. So wait for the attendance. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.